So if they have all these services inside of a package and they pay $5,000 for this package and they don't use all the perks and benefits that are in it, what are you going to do? What's inside of your terms and conditions to make sure that the business is protected, but also that that person understands what they're signing on for? Welcome to CEO Conversations, the private practice podcast. I'm your host, Brandy Mabra. This is your one-stop shop to learn the business side of your practice on a deeper level. On this show, we empower you to own your CEO status to scale your practice for growth, sustainability, and profit. Listen in as we talk about how to market your practice to gain more visibility, hire, build, and engage your ride or die dream team, create streamlined operations, and make financial decisions as a CEO. It's time to show up as a confident leader to create a practice and life you love. Let's get started. Hello. Welcome to another episode of CEO Conversations, the private practice podcast. I'm so excited because over the next couple of weeks, we got some treats for you. We're going to be diving into membership models and ways for you to think creatively when it comes to your business model. There's a lot to dive in. We're going to start with part 1 for memberships and the different types of memberships. And then next week, we're going to dive into the one-to-many model and then also the joint venture. Like, what does joint venture even mean when it comes to your private practice too? So buckle up for the next couple of weeks and I'm excited. Yeah. So one of the questions that I always get is, when is it time to maybe change things up? Last week, we talked about Amazon and how Amazon is stepping into the space of healthcare. Now, Amazon is known for originally books. And so to fast forward years and years and years later, now they are literally providing care to people through pharmacy, through on-site care when it comes to mental health, when it comes to women's health, when it comes to primary care. Like, that's a lot, virtually and in person. And so one of the things that they have is this really great membership model, which inspires today's episode. So how do you know when it's time to maybe implement something like this? So there's two things, like when we're thinking about what to consider when implementing a new business model, there's two things that you have to think about. What is the profitability of the practice, and also what's the financial health of the practice overall? So if you are in a place where, hey, I'm not able to pay my bills, I cannot make payroll, I cannot like go from or pay all the expenses and all the money that's coming in is going straight out and there's nothing left over, changing up your business model is probably something that you could benefit from, right? Especially if you've gone through the exercise of seeing what's working, what's not working, and maybe it's the market that is saying that this business model is now outdated. It just isn't meeting the needs. So one of the things is, every business model that you implement has to solve a problem and has to be the solution. If it's not the solution anymore, then it's time to change it up. The second thing to think about when you are wanting to implement a new business model would be, have I already maximized my current service line? And is there an opportunity for me to take care of folks on a deeper level when they're coming into the practice? So that's where you can implement maybe another service line, a different way of taking care of people, maybe like enhance or elevate a current service. So that way you're definitely putting yourself in the position to bring as much money you can in the door by taking care of your people in a deeper way, in a more impactful way. But those are two big signs for when maybe it's time to change things up. So when we're thinking about business models and going to the membership model, there's two types of membership models. There is the priority membership model and then the package membership model. And that's most times what you'll see in the space. You'll see it in a number of different ways, whether if it's more of a wellness type of clinic where you'll see more packages that you can buy, or if you'll see the membership model with maybe like more of a concierge medicine or a direct care type of model. And it's really interesting what you can do, because actually you could start some of these business models today. Like, you don't need additional team members. You don't need to maybe do some additional hires like right away, but it's a nice way again to bring in some additional cash flow. So let's start first with the priority membership model. One type of membership is where it's like VIP service, VIP access, which is exactly what Amazon did, where if you pay $9 a month, then you get access to same day and next day scheduling for $9. So that means that you can call up anytime you want to and say, hey, I have this going on and I want to be seen, whether if it's virtually or in person. So that's a perk of their membership. When we're thinking about your practice, one of the things that we ended with last week was, when we're thinking about your practice, what can you do that might be similar to that? when we're thinking about pricing structure and packages and different ways to definitely get paid for your services, there's insurance, right? And so even in today's economy, at the time of this recording, the economy is driving people to use their insurance. There was a conversation that I just had with one of my clients and just talking about the differences of folks who are now doing self pay, cash pay, compared to using their insurance, which is a way for you to get paid. There's also HSAs and FSAs as an additional way to get cash basis, but people are looking for a way to only or to benefit from what they're paying for every single week out of their paycheck. Health insurance. So one of the things is that they are still using the patient's insurance, but there's some additional dollars that are coming in the door. And then the second one is the package model. So one of the number one questions I get is how do I know how to price the services to make sure that it's profitable, to make sure that it makes sense? Well, the same way that you would price your services, especially if you have self-pay, or the same way that you're going to calculate how much you can pay for a provider, it's the exact same idea. So determining what kind of service that you're going to provide, who it has to provide that service, what is the price point for that person to provide that service, if there's any kind of products that might be included in that, what's the rate for those products, right? So how much do the products cost? What is the overhead that you have to think about when it comes to making sure that the how you're going to care for the patient is taken care of? Like all that starts to matter. So what is the exact cost for this service? Then when we're thinking about where the service is going to be provided, so if you're in brick and mortar, well, you still have the electric bill, you still have your mortgage, you still have your rent, you still have maybe some things that you have to put in the break room, you still need to pay yourself as the owner, like, all those things start to matter, and more times than not, people forget about that stuff. So when we're thinking about packages, it's the same thing. So what person is going in that package? What products are going into that package? And then what profitability needs to go into that package? So when we're talking about profitability, that means everything that's left over. So this particular service costs $3,000 to provide, just to throw a number out there. I'm going to charge $5,000 for this service because now there's $2,000 left of profit after everything is taken care of, everything is paid for, team is paid for, any kind of maybe if there's injectables that you might need to pay for, or medication that you need to pay for, or some other type of product that you need to pay for, all of that is taken care of. And now the $2,000 is left over to help pay for me as the owner, left to pay if I want to invest back into the business or invest back into the team, or if I need to pay the electric bill or I need to pay the rent or the mortgage. So that's where you want to make sure when you're pricing your services, whether if it's a few $100s or a few $1,000s, it doesn't matter. It has to make sense number wise. So if things are where you've packaged, if you give like this really great package, but you haven't priced it accordingly, you're gonna lose money, right? So it's no different when you hire a team member, and if they're a W-2, and now you're paying them whatever amount hourly or salary, and now you have to pay taxes on that person. It's the same thing, like, most people forget about the taxes that they have to pay on top of the payroll, and so they're like, "I don't understand." Well, you never factored in when you started to price your services or when you're looking at your reimbursement or when you're looking at how many visits you need to get, the fact that you have to pay taxes on top of this person as well, right? So when it comes down to packages, it's a numbers game. It's definitely a numbers game. And so even with the priority, to go back to that for a minute, even with the priority membership, it's the same thing. Like if you're going to do $9 a month, like Amazon for what we were talking about, or if you're going to do $29 a month or $97 a month, it doesn't matter what is included. Where's that money going to go? What is that money allocated for? And if you do say, hey, I'm going to provide this perk, then what comes with that? You know, do you have to open up earlier? Do you have to maybe pay a team member now to make sure that you can accommodate that perk? All of that starts to factor in how you're going to price your packaging, and also if you're going to do this membership model. So some of the things to consider when we're actually doing these membership models, from a terms and conditions and what are some objections that might come up, and some of even just with working with some of my clients who have packages inside of their practices. So several of my clients actually have wellness clinics, and one of the things that does happen is like, how many visits do you want to include as part of that package? what is actually services or type of care that are included inside of those packages, and they can pay all in all at one time, or sometimes they're on like a payment plan. And ultimately, when it comes to terms and conditions, making sure that you are protecting yourself for the biggest objection. Well, I've paid this money and I haven't used it. So you said that I would get 9 visits, just to throw something out there. You said I would get 9 visits and be able to call and get my same day or next day, and I'm not able to do any of that. So either I'm too busy, or maybe something has happened where you weren't able to keep the promises that you promised for the package. Those are a couple things that are coming up for me that could happen. You have to protect yourself in terms and conditions. So if you are doing your part, and let's say the patient doesn't do their part. So if they're not using the services that are provided, they used 5 visits and they got 10, right? They got really, really busy. Then thinking about, what do I want to do? Do I want to give them where they have to use all 10 visits within a certain amount of time? If it's a monthly membership, do they have to use all 5 visits within the month? Or is there a way for them to roll it over to the following month? Or is there a way where you get each month you get a number of visits, and then by the end of the month or by the end of the year, they can't roll them over to the next year? So some of the things that you see in common membership models, like I'm thinking for myself, I'm on like AG1's Athletic Greens, like a membership. And so sometimes I'll go in there and cancel it. Or I also get like all the meals delivered to my house that are actually pre-made, just to try to save myself time. And sometimes those meals, I'm supposed to get like 10 meals a week. And sometimes those meals, I haven't finished the prior meals. So I don't want more meals. It feels like it's going to get backed up. And I'll go ahead and cancel some of those meals. And so just thinking about like, what is that version for you inside of your practice, right? And so making sure that you're thinking more deeply. If I say that this person can pay X amount of dollars and get same day and next day service, or get whatever perk, can you actually provide that, and what it would be if they use it or if they don't use it. What are you going to do? The other thing to think about is, how are you going to collect it? Most times when you're thinking about these types of payment models or business models, they need to be on auto pay. And also the way that you are pricing them, especially when it comes to the membership model, like the priority membership model. Like, are you putting it at a place sometimes where maybe you'll forget about it, right? So, gym memberships is a really great one, where a gym membership is, you might use it, you might not use it, but you'll consistently pay for it. You don't really think to cancel it if you haven't gone to the gym in like 2 months. I'm sure people are listening, like, oh, I need to use my gym membership. But part of the methodology there is that it's at a price point that feels more comfortable for you to pay to forget about it. So, like Planet Fitness is one big one where it's $10 a month. Planet Fitness knows more times than not that people are going to fall off. Like, they're going to go maybe at the beginning of the year, say, oh, $10, that's really great. Amazon did this too. That was probably part of their psychology for why it's $9, is if you don't use it, if you go through the whole month or you go through the whole year and you don't use any of that, I guarantee you that money continuously continues or continuously comes out of your bank account. Think about it. Because at the end of the day, it's an easy thing to pay. Another example that I have is, like, I donate to a breast cancer foundation every single month. When I first signed up with it, one of the things that they told me is they put me on auto pay. I had no other choice. I could not do like just a one and done. It was auto pay. They're smart. It's $20 a month. And in my mind, I thought, like, okay, sure, I'll go ahead, donate this $20. It's a good cause. Absolutely. I'm still paying $20 later, like months and months and months later. Like, it automatically comes out. I don't think about it. It's $20. It's not something that impacts me that much financially. So when you're thinking about your pricing, your services, and your terms and conditions, it's really important to think about, what would be the objection? What is the person going to do with this? Or what is the person not going to do with this? When we're thinking about that. Same thing with the packages. So if they have all these services inside of a package and they pay $5,000 for this package, and they don't use all the perks and benefits that are in it, what are you going to do? What's inside of your terms and conditions to make sure that the business is protected, but also that that person understands what they're signing on for? Yeah, so one of the best things to do, just to wrap up this point, is that to fully step into your client's shoes or your patient's shoes, and what is the likelihood of them using the service? And what is the likelihood of them not using the service? Those are the two questions that you need to answer when pricing and terms and conditions. So these are some things that you can do for business models to think outside the box, maybe to bring in some additional revenue. If you are needing some additional support when it comes to your business model and knowing like, hey, I probably could do something different, or maybe something's not working, or maybe things are really working and you know that there's an opportunity to enhance your practice, then I would love for you to go ahead and apply to Private Practice CEO. Private Practice CEO is built for you to own your CEO status, to scale your practice for growth, sustainability, and profit. We work with you on leadership, marketing, money, empowering you when it comes to just what this does being a CEO mean. There's a lot of fun things that we get to do when it comes to retreats and group coaching and consulting and one-on-one coaching and consulting. So it's a phenomenal community. So if you're out there like, man, my practice, the business side of my practice is driving me crazy, then go ahead and apply and see the show notes to apply for Private Practice CEO today. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Thanks for listening today. I hope you enjoyed the episode and it empowers you as the CEO of your practice. If you enjoyed the podcast, please make sure you subscribe, share the message, and leave a review. If you want more information and support in growing and scaling your practice, click the link in the show notes to take advantage of our free resources or apply to work with me directly. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.